a whole. Judah did evil in the sight of the Lord. Go ahead.
And they provoked him to jealousy with their sin.
They provoked God to jealousy. How can you serve that which is not God and I'm God? I'm jealous. Now I must destroy you. Go ahead.
Which they had committed, above all that their fathers had done.
They outdid their fathers in their sin. Verse 23. What were they doing?
For they also built them high places.
They built them high places. They built high places. Places of worship, of false worship, places of idolatry. Go ahead.
And images and groves on every high hill.
On every high hill and where?
And under every green tree.
So it's false worship all over the landscape. And what else did they have?
And there were also sodomites in the land.
And there were also who?
Sodomites in the land.
There were also sodomites in the land. Just like it is today. And there were also sodomites in the land. And what did they do?
And they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord cast out before the children of Israel.
So the Lord tells the people, think about it now, the Lord tells the people, I cast these people out because of their sin, because of their transgressions, because of their wickedness. And I'm going to put you in there and you get in there and do the same exact thing as those people did. You're going to get kicked out. And that's what happened. You reap what you sow. God is not mocked. But this leader, this Rehoboam, had he stood up like a man of God, had he stood up as he should have, and held a standard, things would have changed. But he did. So Judah did evil. The leadership in this country won't stand up and do what's right. They don't even know what's right. So all the people do evil. Let's see what a righteous king would do. Let's go to 1 Kings, the 15th chapter, 11th verse. First Kings 15 and verse 11. What would a righteous king do? What would a righteous leader do? When you're there, you can go ahead.
And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, as did David his father.
So he followed his father, who the Bible says David had a mind, a heart like God. He only erred in that one instance with Bathsheba. And you're right. But other than that, he was a righteous man. And it said, his son, it said, Asa did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord. He was righteous according to a standard, according to the law, as did his father. And what did he do because he was righteous?
And he took away the Sodomites out of the land and removed all the idols.
Now he argued for same-sex marriage.
And he took away the Sodomites.
He took away the Sodomites out of the land, you see, because he was righteous. Go ahead.
And removed all the idols that his father had made.
See, that's what a righteous king would do. He wouldn't support foolishness. He wouldn't support sin. But we, as a people, look at a particular man as if his ascension to a particular spot is our ascension to a particular spot. No, that's him sitting on the throne of white supremacy. We still in the gutter as a people. We still suffer. The masses of our people still suffer. That's the bottom line. And I don't hear him advocating for us much. 1 Kings 22 and verse 41. Let's look at another righteous king and see what a righteous king would do. 1 Kings 22 and verse 41. When you're there, you can go ahead.
And Jehoshaphat, the son of Asa, began to reign over Judah in the 4th year of Ahab, king of Israel.
So now this is Asa's son, Jehoshaphat. Go ahead.
Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Azubah, the daughter of Shihah.
Go ahead.
And he walked in all the ways of Asa his father.
Now we saw that Asa walked in the ways of David, his father. He did right. Jehoshaphat did right for the most part. What did he do?
He turned not aside from it, doing that which was right in the eyes of the Lord.
On a straight and narrow way. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, the high places were not taken away, but the people offered and burned incense yet in the high places. Verse 46. And the remnant of the Sodomites, which remained in the days of his father Asa, he took out of the land.
So he got those that was left over, those Sodomites though. He got them out of the land. That's what a righteous king would do. 2 Kings 23. be a standard. You don't support evil and expect good to come. Understand. This is something our people should understand as we try to integrate, which is not true integration. It's amalgamation. We have been sucked into a larger group. But as you take on the ways, as you take on the customs, and as you bow down to this wicked system, it's headed for destruction. And like Lot was leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, you need to do the same thing. 2 Kings 23. Because it's only a matter of time. All kingdoms fall. It's falling around you now. 2 Kings 23 and verse 1. What would a righteous king do? Go ahead.
And the king sent, and they gathered unto him all the elders of Judah and of Jerusalem. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord.
You read in the 22nd chapter of this same book, when Hilkiah discovered the book. And what did they discover in discovering the book? They opened the book and found out that they had not been living up to the standard that God required. And this Josiah, who was prophesied of, whose name was called even before he came into existence, he understood when he read the law. Then he had knowledge, like Paul, he had knowledge of sin, and he rent his clothes. And he called all the people. See, this is what a righteous king would do. He would call the people, and he would tell them what thus saith the Lord. He would instruct them in the right way. But go ahead, keep reading.
And the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord.
And he made a covenant before the Lord. Go ahead.
To walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their hearts and all their souls.
So he called on the people to do what was right. Go ahead.
To perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book. And all the people stood to the covenant.
We've gotten away from what was written in this book. Well, go ahead, verse 4.
And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal and for the grove, and for all the hosts of heaven.
And see, understand, there's always a connection between the political and the spiritual. So this political king called the spiritual high priest. And they tried to walk the right way. But you see, when this particular man, in this one instance, we read about it, that inauguration, that pastor, he was right. But what did the political leadership say? You got to go. You a bigot. Can't have any dealings with you because you dealing with what thus saith the Lord. And then the hypocrisy to stand there and put your hand on the Bible and swear in. Hypocrite. Hypocrite. Go ahead.
And he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron, and carried the ashes of them unto Bethel. And he put down the idolatrous priests, whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah, and in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burned incense unto Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the planets, and to all the hosts of heaven.
It was all in his heart to reform, to have a revival. That's what we need as a people. A literal revival. We need to literally find this book again as a people and turn back to what it's saying, because the standard has been lost. But go ahead.
And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people.
So he's getting rid of all this false worship. All these men that's dealing in false worship. He's moving them out of the way. And what else did he do?
And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites.
Again, the righteous king does that. And he broke down the houses of the Sodomites. Go ahead.
That were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the grove.
That's what a righteous king would do. Let's go to Judges, because there's always consequences. But let's look at a time when Israel had no king, when moral relativism was the norm. When everybody did that which was right in their own eyes. This is Judges, the 19th chapter and verse 1. Judges 19 and verse 1. 19 and 1. When you're there, you can go ahead.
And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah.
So now this Levite, this priest, over the Levites, go ahead, and he had a wife, go ahead.
And his concubine played a whore against him.
That's what a concubine is. That's a secondary wife, if you will. And she said that she played a whore against him, a harlot against him. Go ahead.
And went away from him unto her father's house of Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months.
All right, so she left him. Go ahead.
And her husband arose and went after her, to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having a servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him unto her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him.
He said, man, I'm glad to see you. Come get this woman, please. Go ahead. Get down. Okay, you read verse 4.
Verse 4.
Thank you.
And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there.
So he's lodging there, eating and drinking. Verse 9.
And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry. And tomorrow get ye early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem. And there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. Okay, so now he's left his father-in-law. He's traveling back home now. He's not made it yet. Go ahead. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And a servant said unto his master,
Now listen to what he said. Go ahead.
Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites and lodge in it.
Now he is an Israelite of the tribe of Levi. And his servant said, listen, let's go in unto this city of the Jebusites. This is another people who are not Israelites, and lodge in it. What did his master say?
And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger that is not of the children of Israel.
We won't deal with a stranger. They don't have a stand. You're going to find out something real soon, but go ahead.
We will pass over to Gibeah.
So he didn't want to stay amongst the Jebusites. He wanted to go amongst his own people. Let's find out how his own people acted. But keep reading.
And he said unto his servant, Come and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way. And the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him down in the street of the city, for there was no man that took them into his house to lodge.
So they couldn't lodge anywhere. No man took them into his house to lodge. Go ahead.
And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at evening.
So this old man saw this. Go ahead.
Which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah. And the men of the place were Benjamites. So this Levite priest was from Mount Ephraim. And this old man saw him, and he was lodging, or he was living in this particular place, in this place of the Benjamites in Gibeah, but he was also from Mount Ephraim. So they from the same place. So he sees him. And this is, skip down to verse 20. What the old man, who was wise probably, what did he say to him? And the old man said, Peace be with thee.
Peace to you. Go ahead.
Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, when he lies not in the street.
You know how it is when you're in a neighborhood that's not right, somebody doing something that's out of pocket for that neighborhood, you try to warn them. Like, look, man, let all your wants lie on me, just don't lodge in the street. Verse 21.
So he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink.
So he gave fodder or food unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. Go ahead.
Now as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about.
So as they are there eating and drinking, probably reminiscing on Mount Ephraim, and making merry. It said, behold, certain men, the sons of Baal was of baser sorts. They beset the house round about. They're the welcoming committee. Go ahead.
And beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying,
What they want? They want to greet this man?
Bring forth a man that came into thine house, that we may know him.
We're going to welcome you to the neighborhood. Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know them. Just like we read in Genesis 19. Just like we read of the men in Sodom and Gomorrah. Go ahead.
And the man, the master of the house, went out to them and said unto them,
Uh-huh.
Nay, my brother, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing that this man is coming to mine house, do not defile me.
Go ahead.
Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man, do not so vile a thing.
Again, and you see the same kind of remedy, which is really no remedy. It's just a lesser evil, if you will. Because perhaps they looked at how they were built. Because if you look even physiologically, I mean, to put it in frank terms, the woman's private area is the only place in human anatomy that is made for the male, period. That's it. So, he said, behold, here's my daughter, a maiden and his concubine, not his daughter. We read in Deuteronomy 23 how there should be no whores of the children or the daughters of Israel. So she was a maiden. She was a maiden. She had been doing what she was supposed to do. His concubine hadn't. He said, listen, 2 women, I will bring you out now and humble ye them and do with them what seemeth good unto you. Again, not a remedy, but unto this man do not so vile a thing. Did these men hearken?
But the men would not hearken to him.
Now you think about it, their mind bad. Their mind is bad. That's psychological. That's the vain imagination of men. That's deceitfully wicked. But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine. So this Levite priest grabbed his concubine and brought her forth unto them. It didn't say he grabbed the other woman, the maiden. He grabbed the concubine that had played the whore and threw her out. And they knew her and what?
And abused her all the night until the morning.
Committed rape.
And when the day began to spring, they let her go.
26.
Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, fell down at the door of the man's house where her Lord was.
So this was a terrible, terrible, terrible act that took place. But the men came to deal with other men. Go ahead.
And the Lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up and got him unto his place.
See, they went for the men, and like dogs and bones, you just throw it out, they all go to the bone. These men had become like beasts in their mind, and had degenerated to such a level that they would rape this woman, that they were trying to rape other men. See, mankind today in our society have degenerated to like beasts. That's how we are talking about mankind, like beasts. When you would argue to have sex and you a man with another man, like beasts. 29.
And when he was come into his house, he took a knife.
Now he took extreme measures. Go ahead.
And laid hold on his concubine, and divided her, together with her bones, into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel.
So he took the corpse of his concubine and cut her in 12 pieces and sent her into all the coasts of Israel. Because he's trying to make a point to show how far we have fallen as a nation. Go ahead.
And it was so that all that saw it said, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your mind.
So he's trying to get everybody's attention. Let's go right into the 20th chapter, verse 1.
Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead, unto the Lord in Mizpah. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword.
So now all the chief of the people, all the leadership, they getting together. Go ahead.
Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was this wickedness?
So now they want to know, how did this happen? What's going on? Go ahead.
And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibeah that belonged to Benjamin, I and my concubines along. And the men of Gibeah rose up against me, and beset their house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine have they forced that she is dead. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all of the country, of all the inheritance of Israel, for they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel.
Right, go ahead. Skip down to verse
12.
Thank you.
And the tribes of Israel sent man through all the tribes of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you?
So now all the other tribes, they send their people or their men through Benjamin, and they're asking, they're inquiring, what wickedness is this that thou hast done? What they telling them what they better do. What they tell them?
Now therefore deliver us the men.
So we can, he said, deliver us the men that have done this. Go ahead, keep reading.
Children of Belial, which I did give you, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel.
That's why he had people stoned back then, to put evil away from Israel, so people would see what happens with sin, and they would fit and they would refrain themselves from evil. He said, now therefore deliver us the men, the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. Because evil, if you don't deal with it, it will only spread. It will only spread. So if, for example, you had somebody in here who was fornicating, and from where we sit it was not addressed, what is that saying to other people? It's saying it's okay to fornicate. If you see a young woman come in here and she's a teen and she comes in pregnant, and you don't say anything, what is that saying to the other young teen? It's saying it's okay to be promiscuous. It's okay to lay with somebody before you marry. Same thing if a sodomite come through that door right now, and he sit down, and he dressed like a woman, and don't nobody say nothing. No, y'all need to get up and leave if don't nobody say nothing. You have to put away evil. You have to address wickedness. Otherwise it will spread. But go ahead.
But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel.
Now instead of delivering these men up, they going to fight. Because of what these men did, they are defending their wickedness. Go ahead.
And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men.
So now this led to civil war, because some sodomites want to sleep with a man. Don't ever think that there's not consequences for sin. Civil war. People gonna die because somebody wants to sleep with another man. Verse 18.
And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God, and asked counsel of God, and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first.
So they inquired of the Lord, and the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah.
And what happened?
Destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men.
So now they go civil war over sodomy, and in the first battle, the Benjamites destroyed down to the ground 22,000 Israelites. Don't think there are not consequences when you allow sin to go forward. Go ahead.
And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array, in the place where they put themselves in array the first day.
And understand, these are just not words on a page. Sometimes we read about history, we read in battles. These are brothers, uncles, fathers, sons that are slain trying to eradicate evil. So somebody was shedding tears for these people, for these men that fell in this war. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until evening, and asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? And the Lord said, go up against them.
Go up against them again. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day.
And what happened?
And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword.
So now another 18,000 on top of the 22,000 were killed. Go ahead.
Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord.
They're weeping because of all of the bloodshed. Go ahead.
And fasted that day until evening and offered burnt offering and peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days.
That's how they're getting an answer, but go ahead.
And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before them in those days, saying, shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother, or shall I cease? And the Lord said, go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into thine hand.
Think about how hard that was. He said, shall I yet go up again to battle against Benjamin, my what? My brother. That's something. Have to fight your brother who trying to protect some sodomites and rapists. Let's get down to verse 46.
Verse 46. So all that which fell that day of Benjamin were 25,000 men that drew the sword. All these were men of valor.
Because they were delivered, and some more Israelites fell, but at this time Benjamin was brought down, and it said Benjamin 20 and 5,000 were destroyed. That's on top of the 18,000 and the 22,000. 47.
But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city, as the beast and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to.
Right. And Benjamin was almost wiped out as a tribe. The whole tribe was almost literally wiped out because you got some sodomites who want to rape somebody. It's always consequences for sin. People will look at this and say, well, what's the consequences of homosexuality today? Let's go to reference 5. Because there's consequences. There's consequences. Always consequences for sin. Built-in consequences. So we read about the thousands that died in that war. Let's read about the thousands that's dying today. This is reference 5, where it says CDC analysis. When you're ready, you can go ahead.
CDC analysis provides new look at disproportionate impact of HIV and syphilis among U.S. gay and bisexual men. A data analysis released today by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention underscores the disproportionate impact of HIV and syphilis among gay and bisexual men in the United States.
Now, HIV, syphilis, and various other sexually transmitted diseases, hepatitis, and so forth, are disproportionately impact bisexual and gay men. Now, why is that? When I talked about how the woman was built for the man, men are not built for men. And when they engage in that type of behavior, they are more susceptible to STDs because because of the membrane and how you understand what I'm talking about. How that's built. Okay. So now let's go down to the next paragraph.
The data presented at Centers for Disease Control 2010 National STD Prevention Conference finds that the rate of new HIV diagnosis among men who have sex with men MSM is more than 44 times that of other men and more than 40 times that of women.
40 more than 44 times, you more than 44 times, like, see, it's death wrapped up in that. That's not a lifestyle, that's a death style. 45 times more likely, and 40 times of other men, and 40 times more likely than women to get HIV. Go ahead.
The range was 522 to 989 cases of new HIV diagnosis per 100,000 MSM versus 12 per 100,000 other men and 13 per 100,000 women.
So what is it saying? It's saying for men who have sex with men, you got between 522 to 989 out of every 100,000 who contract HIV. I read numbers as high as 2 out of every 5. I've even read statistics where it said it will cut your lifespan down by 20 years to be a homosexual man. Go ahead.
The rate of primary and secondary syphilis among MSN is more than 46 times that of other men and more than 71 times that of women, the analysis says. The range was 91 to 173 cases per 100,000 MSM versus 2 per 100,000 other men and 1 per 100,000 women.
Let's get down to that last paragraph on that page, please.
While the heavy toll of HIV and syphilis among gay and bisexual men has been long recognized, this analysis shows just how stark the health disparities are between this and other populations, says Kevin Pinto.
That's okay, don't even worry about the name. That's okay. Now you think about it, you say, well, this is amongst them. But notice what it said, gay and bisexual men. So these men who are contracting all these diseases are also having sex with who? Women. You don't think that has an effect? You can say, even if I don't have, that still have an effect on cost of health care, on all that. So it's always a cost. Go ahead to that last paragraph, on the first paragraph actually on page 6, which is the last paragraph of that particular excerpt.
It is clear that we will not be able to stop the U.S. HIV epidemic until every affected community, along with health officials nationwide, prioritize the needs of gay and bisexual men with HIV prevention efforts.
And see, the problem is, you're not going to be able to stop it by doing that. Because what you talk about in your solution is never righteousness. They tell these kids, these young kids, to wrap it up. And AIDS and HIV is running rampant among black women. You see, wrapping it up is not the answer. Closing your legs is the answer. Having some discretion is the answer. Stop fornicating, that's the answer. Hold a standard as a parent in your home, that's the answer. Telling these kids to wear a condom. You setting these kids up for destruction. You setting these kids up for a life of poverty when they have kids outside of wedlock. No standard is being set. Let's go to the next one. And it is about your kids. It is about your kids. When I talk about the homosexual agenda, the agenda is not for older people. It's not for you that's about to retire. It's for those who are about to enter kindergarten and first grade. Because you change the mindset of those kids, and you change society. So now they grow up accepting a certain behavior as if it's okay. Reference 6. This is how it takes place. Reference 6. When you're there, go ahead.
LAUSD becomes first California school district to mandate gay curriculum.
To mandate gay curriculum. It's a mandate, meaning you have to do it. You have to do it. Go ahead. Just go down to let's see. Let's see on the second column where it says under his resolution.
Under his resolution, all schools within LAUSD must do the following in their classrooms within 3 months.
You better do it, and you better do it within 3 months. Go ahead.
Promote positive images of the LGBT individual.
That's number 1. We want homosexuality in a positive light. Go ahead.
Make available age-appropriate LGBT inclusive curriculum For elementary and secondary school.
For college kids? What it say?
Elementary and secondary school.
You realize elementary, them the babies. K through 12. It says make available age appropriate. Now what they say is age appropriate. I've seen the books. It's literally, they got men, they reading the six-year-olds, men kissing each other. They make it like it's a prince in search, not for a princess, for another prince. Now, first of all, you don't want your 6-year-old really knowing, as a parent, you don't want them knowing that stuff, even talking about heterosexual. And yet, you promote homosexuality amongst the babies? When the mind is molded, the mind is like a sponge at that age. That's where you mold the mind. Instead of teaching them what thus saith the Lord, instead of teaching them about the 10 Commandments, you're teaching them about some homosexuality. You see? So when I talk about we need our own institutions, I work in the school. I study education. I mean, that's what I do. So I understand what's going on in the schools. I understand that with the miseducation that our young people get, they're not told about themselves. They are miseducated. They are told about another people to hold them up. They're not told about their own history. And what else? Immorality is running rampant throughout these schools, amongst these students and amongst these teachers. These teachers and these administrators don't have a standard for these kids. That's the irony. I have a master's degree in education, working on a PhD. My wife has a degree in education that we homeschool. What does that tell you about the school system? My first encounter in student teaching, I had come to the school and they had just caught about 20 girls, lesbians, all in the band room together, doing that which is unseemly. You see, that's what's in the schools. That's what's in the schools. So even if you hold the standard in your home, and your son or daughter comes home and you asking them, what'd you do in school? You see. They've been exposed to all kinds of things you wouldn't even think about. And it's all day, every day. They in school more than they with you. So that's when I say, maybe we need to do something different. That's what I'm talking about, because I see it. And I see the impact it have on kids. And I see how they say, even if they are not that way, they will defend it. They will defend that lifestyle. Can't we all just get along? No, we can't all get along. Because somebody is a Satan and somebody is a God. And you're going to have to determine what side you want. But if they got your baby and they molding her mind at the age of 6 years old, what are you fighting against? I'd rather educate mine at the kitchen table than send them in there. Go ahead.
Require that newly adopted social studies materials include positive representations of the LGBT and persons with disabilities. Include LGBT sensitivity and outreach, education and training for students, parents, and staff. Remind staff of their duty to ensure that all students are safe and affirmed on campus, and to proactively intervene with acts of bias, harassment, or bullying that they see, including but not limited to LGBT biased language and bullying.
And see, that's the thing too. You are not allowed to bully anybody for any reason. We talked about special privileges. Homosexuals want special privileges. It's a clear-cut thing. You're not supposed to berate any student for any reason. I don't see this for the child that may be overweight. I don't see this for the child that may be socially awkward or shy. I don't see this for the child that may have acne. No. You're going to have some positive images of these homosexuals. Did you read the last one?
Implement for all staff a training specifying legal responsibilities, effective practices, and concerns unique to LGBT individuals, similar to the district's child abuse model.
Man, I wish the district I work in would tell me some mess like this. That'd be my last day. I work in a gas station, work in a mall. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Let's go to where we at? The 7th. Let's go to reference 7. Because I talked about that pyramid, about how same-sex marriage was on top of that pyramid. Also, getting into schools is on top of that pyramid. Now let's look at this. This is from StopBullying.org, which was a program that Obama pushed for. And it was a backdoor thing. This is not about stopping bullying for all kids that may be bullied for whatever reason. This is about the acceptance of homosexuality in schools. If you don't believe it, think about Arnie Duncan. Think about Arnie Duncan. If you are familiar with Chicago, you know about Arnie Duncan and his views on homosexuality and this kind of curriculum being used in the schools. This is bullying in the LGBT youth. When you're there, you can just go ahead.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender LGBT youth and those perceived as LGBT are at an increased risk of being bullied. There are important and unique considerations for strategies to prevent and address bullying of LGBT youth.
Now skip down. Well, go ahead and read that. No, I'll take that back. Go ahead and skip down to the bullet points and seeing what they have to do. Go ahead.
Starting with
the first one.
Build strong connections and keep the lines of communication open. Some LGBT youth often feel rejected. It is important for them to know that their family, friends, schools, and communities support them.
It's one thing to support somebody, it's another thing to support them in their unrighteous behavior. Go ahead.
Establish a safe environment at school.
You're supposed to have a safe environment for all kids in a public school. See, that's what I'm saying. This is about homosexuality. This is not about bullying per se. This is about the acceptance of this in the school. Go ahead.
Schools can send a message that no one should be treated differently because they are or are perceived to be LGBT.
See, they want special privileges. Go ahead.
Sexual orientation and gender identity protection can be added to school policies.
Go ahead.
Create gay-straight alliances.
Now, wait a minute now. Do what? Create what?
Gay-straight alliances.
What alliance should light have with darkness? What alliance did Christ have with Baal? Huh? What alliance do we have with the Word? See, that's what I'm saying. It got to be a line drawn, not an alliance, a line. You got to draw a line in the sand and determine where you're going to stand. Create gay straight alliances, GSAs. That's what this is about. Establishing these type of groups and organizations within the schools, with the babies, while they're reading a book with two men kissing. Go ahead.
GSAs help create safer schools.
Based on what? But go ahead.
Schools must allow these.
They must allow these if what?
They must allow these groups if they have other non-curriculum clubs or groups.
So if you got a chess club, you have to have this GSA. You see that? You see that? That's what's in the schools. That's what's in the schools. Where you at? That is that
learn more about the right to form.
No, that's okay. You don't have to read that. You don't have to read that. Thank you. Go to the reference 8. Go to reference 8. We'll see another way in which this is being perpetuated. This is from the Washington Post, September 2012. If you go ahead and read the title.
Prominent black clergy support Maryland same-sex marriage.
Now these are these false prophets. Amongst them, I don't say reverend, it's Delman Coates. Let's see. Al Sharpton. Another guy, I don't see his name, but Otis Moss III, who took over Trinity United Church of Christ. That's where Jeremiah Wright was from, and that's where Obama frequented. Prominent. These are prominent. These These false prophets have some pull. They promoting same-sex marriage. How are you a man of God saying same-sex marriage is okay? You are not a man of God. Go ahead and start at the beginning right here. Second column at the very top.
African Americans do not own the patent on civil rights and morality, according to several prominent African American pastors who joined the effort to support a referendum in Maryland to allow same-sex marriage.
Certain things, I tell you, like I said, I get sick to my stomach. I literally get sick and want to vomit when I see certain things. These so-called leaders, so-called men of God, they say African Americans do not own the patent on civil rights and morality. Why is it that we allow other people to profit off of our struggle? Why do we do that? First, it was the white woman who profited from our struggle. Then it was every other ethnic group who profited from our struggle. How are you going to compare your desire, that lust to go after another man, to what we struggle for? That's disrespect to all my ancestors that died, that were jettisoned on those ships. That's disrespectful to all my ancestors, the females who were raped on their way in the Middle Passage. That's disrespectful to all of them that worked to build this country for nothing, for free. That picked all that cotton, that sat on the back of buses, that sat in jails, falsely accused of crimes, that couldn't even walk in a store because of the color of their skin, and you want to say we don't own the patent on civil rights? I tell you this much, we suffer more than anybody in this country. If the indigenous come in here, we could have a talk, but not the homosexual of any color. Gay is not the new black. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what t-shirts they make. I get sick. Second paragraph, please.
Minister Al Sharpton, Minister Delman Coates of Mount Enon Baptist Church in Clinton, Maryland. Minister Otis Smith III, Senior Pastor of Chicago Trinity United Church of Christ, where the Obamas once worshiped, were among a dozen or so clergy members who spoke at a news conference at the National Press Club in Washington on Friday.
And what did they do?
The leaders challenged fellow clergy who say they are using same-sex marriage as a wedge issue between Obama and African-American voters.
They might be using it in that way because they're about politics. A true man of God can't worry about politics. So that's the thing. A true man of God can't worry about what is politically correct. Everything I've said today is not politically correct, and I don't care. I really don't. Go ahead.
Why would you even suggest, after first fighting for the right to vote, should we give that right back now because someone disagrees with your denominational views, says Sharpton, president of the National Action Network and a Baptist minister. They are dealing with an issue that goes beyond a theological debate.
And this Negro here has much pull. He has much pull and sway over the masses of black people, leading them astray. I call him a Negro. That's the mindset he has. That's the mindset he has. Talking about this, this is not civil rights. This is about behavior. Go ahead.
Justice doesn't mean just us. Justice is what love looks like in public policy, said the minister, Freddie D. Hayes, senior pastor of Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas. All people in this country should be afforded the same rights. No one entity owns civil rights.
Love is the fulfilling of the law. The master said, if you love me, keep my commandments. We talk about people should be afforded the same rights. As I stated earlier, it is not a civil right. And all gays have the same right as everybody else to marry as long as it's somebody of the opposite sex. Because marriage is an institution, we will find out later. What is intent for? What was the intent of it? Excuse me. Let's go back to Ezekiel. Go back to the scriptures. Go back to the scriptures into Ezekiel. Because obviously, and they have huge congregations. Pull, sway, but they're wrong. What should the true man of God be doing? Ezekiel 3. This is the first thing he should do. Ezekiel 3 and verse 1. When you're there, you can go ahead.
Moreover, he said unto him, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll and go speak unto the house of Israel.
So he said, first of all, eat this roll. Consume my word. You have to get the word of God before you preach the word of God. He said, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. So after you find out what thus saith the Lord, speak it, whatever it is. Go ahead.
So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness.
Sweet word of God. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee into the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language.
But to who?
But to the house of Israel.
You're not sent to some stranger, but to your own people. But go ahead.
Not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose word thou canst not understand.
We don't need no interpreter. We all speak Ebonics. Go ahead.
Surely, had I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee.
And if I had sent you unto some people who didn't know your language, into some far off land, they would have hearkened unto my word. But not your people. Verse 7.
But the house of Israel would not hearken unto thee. For they would not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are imputed and hard.
So they impudent and hard-hearted. Go ahead.
Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces.
But I have made thy face strong against their hard necks. Go ahead.
And their foreheads, and thy forehead strong against their forehead. As an animate harder than flint have I made thy forehead.
You have to be hard-headed and your head like flint in regard to your people, teaching them what thus said the Lord, because they don't want to hear. It says, I made it as animate, harder than flint have I made thy forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. That's how we are as a people. Go ahead.
Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, all my words that I shall speak unto thee, receive in thine heart, and hear with thine ears. Hear with thine ears.
Skip down to verse 16. Because we want to find out what the man of God should do. Go ahead.
And it came to pass at the end of 7 days, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, I've made thee a watchman into the house of Israel.
So he said, I made you a watchman. You look back in the old days, what was the job of the watchman? The watchman would sit in the high tower over the city, and he would look to see if there was any danger approaching the city. And if there was any danger approaching the city, he would sound the alarm. He would blow the trumpet. He would tell the people and warn them, trouble is on the horizon. Go ahead.
Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me.
That's what the watchmen should do. That's what these so-called clergymen should be doing. They should be warning the people that if you do not stop sinning, God will kill you. Point blank. Go ahead.
When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand.
Right. So you have to warn. It said, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning. So even if you don't tell the one that don't want to know anyway, or that is wicked, he gonna die in his sin, and I'm gonna require his blood at thy hand. Go ahead, verse 19.
Yet if thou warn the wicked.
But if you warn the wicked, go ahead.
And he turn not from his wickedness.
And he continues in wickedness, go ahead.
Nor from his wicked way. He shall die in his iniquity.
But what about you?
But thou hast delivered thy soul.
See, that's the duty of the watchman. To warn of God. To warn of the consequences for sin. To tell you what thus saith the Lord. To sound the alarm. Let's go to Matthew 14. Matthew 14. And you see, there's no man telling the leadership of this country that you wrong on your stance on same-sex marriage. You wrong on your stance on abortion. You wrong. A man of God will tell him that. Matthew 14 and verse 1. And when you're there, you can go ahead.
At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus.
So this Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus. Go ahead.
And said unto his servant,
what did he say?
This is John the Baptist.
This John the Baptist. Go ahead.
He is risen from the dead, and therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him.
This a man born of woman, there was no prophet like John the Baptist. He came in the spirit of Elijah, preaching and teaching the people. telling them what thus saith the Lord. But go ahead.
For Herod had laid hold on John and bound him and put him in prison.
And put him in prison, why?
For Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife.
What did he say?
For John said unto him, it is not lawful for thee to have her.
So he spoke truth to power. He said it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. If there was a man of God standing before the president, a true man of God would tell him it's not lawful for you to be advocating same-sex marriage and to be promoting this. That's what a man of God would do. They wouldn't be trying to support him in his folly. Reference 9. That's just an example. That's just an example. Like I said, this homosexual agenda is in all facets. Political, entertainment, even religion. Let's look at this. This is an article, CNS News, and the reason I used it is because they were pretty much to the point about what these editors of this new Bible called the Queen James Bible stated. And I know they were straight with it because I went in on these people's website and read what they had to say and read the passages of the Queen James Bible. But let's find out about this ridiculous text. Calling it fabulous. When you're there, you go ahead.
Calling it fabulous. A publisher has come out with a new translation of the Bible that resolves any homophobic interpretations, deeming it the Queen James Version.
Deeming it the Queen James Version. And it said it resolves any homophobic interpretation. As the Bible is clear about what it's saying about homosexuality. And that's another thing, we have to pay attention to how things are worded. Homophobic. To call somebody homophobic, phobia is a fear. Like you scared of something. No, it's not that you scared of something. You're just saying something is unrighteous. You're just saying something is a sin. That don't mean you're homophobic. But go ahead. Resolves any homophobic interpretation. Deeming it the Queen James Version. Go ahead.
The Queen James Bible is a big, fabulous Bible. Its website explains, released on November 27th by a publisher named Queen James. Anonymous editors say they
don't even put their name on the book. Anonymous. But go ahead.
They wanted to make a book filled with the Word of God that nobody could use to incorrectly condemn God's LGBT children.
Listen to this. That's not incorrect. The Bible is saying for certain acts, you're going to go to hell. What do you mean incorrect? Condemn God's LGBT. You don't know God. You don't know God. You don't keep His commandments.